Good afternoon. Thank you for watching our live briefing for Monday, May 18th. I have a couple of quick updates, and then Taryn Young from Wellness has our wellness segment, and Lynn McClintock has our pastoral care segment. Quick look at the COVID-19 data. We've had, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, we've had 218,400 or so individuals tested. Positive cases of 31,140. That's an increase from yesterday of 752. The positivity rate, which tells us how many people are testing positive out of all those tested, is down, trending down, and it's down below 14% for the first time in a while, so that's good news. Hospitalizations, current total, since the start of the pandemic, in Virginia, we've had 3,822 people hospitalized. Currently, there's 1,502. Of that 1,500 people in the hospital, 361 are in the ICU, and 194 of those need ventilator support. We've had, over the weekend, Virginia went over 1,000 deaths. Currently, we're sitting at 1,014. Up 5 from yesterday, and we've had a little more than 4,100 individuals recover so far through the pandemic. Late last week, I shared with you that we had 2 residents in Parsons Health Center who had developed COVID-like symptoms and had been tested. I'm happy to tell you today both of those residents have tested negative, and we're real pleased about that. Also, today we learned that one of our grounds contractor employees, again, this is not somebody who works for us, he works for our grounds contracting company, tested positive. So as a precaution, we have tested one of our employees who may have come into contact with the contractor specifically. I don't think there's much risk, but out of an abundance of caution, we went ahead and tested that employee, and we should know in about 72 hours. And in the meantime, the employee will be sure to be masked and stay away from residents. I want to tell you today, and I want to make sure you have it on your calendar, that I will be sharing our outline for how we're implementing a gradual restarting of our programs and services. We're going to take a cautious, gradual approach to restarting our programs and services, but on Thursday of this week, I will share our plans for what we're describing as step 1 and step 2 of that process. So please make sure you tune in at 3 o'clock on Thursday when I'll lay out some of those details, and then we'll get you that outline in writing so you'll be able to look at it and study it. So more to come there. A couple other quick updates. We want to keep you up to date on our different changing processes. One of those processes that we've had in place since the very beginning of this situation is having staff at the gatehouse assisting our security team in screening everyone who comes through the gates, that being staff, contractors, deliveries, everything. And what we've done there is we've asked a series of questions. And then once they answer the questions and we verify they have a mask, we send them to the back of the property to either the Avalon entrance or the Child Development Center, what we call the CDC entrance, to where there's a tent and another process where we take everyone's temperature. That process, it's really burdensome and it's redundant, and it causes us to jam up at the gate during certain hours. And so as of yesterday, we changed that process and we've consolidated it down. So now people will come through the gate and they will be, we'll make sure they have a mask, and then we'll be sending them to the back to one of those 2 entrances, the Avalon or the CDC, where they'll be asked those same questions and have their temperature taken. So if you see that change at the front gate, that's what it is. But we really needed to take the pressure off at the front gate and find a better use for staff, which we were kind of doubling up there. So there'll be more changes. We continue to refine this, and as operations start to restart, we're going to have to make a lot of changes, and we'll do our best to try to communicate those. Now, another update for those of you that can't see Westbrook from your apartment or your home. Westbrook Avenue has been repaved. It's nice and smooth and black, no potholes. There will be painting lines on it and finishing up when the weather clears. I think it's ironic that it only took a 100-year pandemic to get Westbrook paved. We always wondered what it was going to take, and now we know. So that's good news for everyone, and once we get a little further into this, I'm excited for all of you to get to see it firsthand. Last couple things. We are getting the social work team, resident services team, and myself. We've gotten a number of complaints from residents about other residents not wearing masks. It's understandable as everyone begins to get comfortable in masks and feel safe wearing them. You see someone who isn't, and it's uncomfortable. Those of us who are out on the weekends and needing to do things are in the same situation when we go to a retail establishment and half of the establishment's wearing masks and the other half isn't. It's very uncomfortable. So we're all getting used to it. As of today, it is not a requirement that we have not established it as a rule that residents must wear masks. But, spoiler alert for later in the week when I talk about step one, as we restart programs and reopen common spaces, contemplate reopening dining, that sort of thing, we are going to ultimately require residents to wear masks when they're in public areas. And ultimately, as residents begin to leave the campus and guests come on campuses down the road, everyone's going to need to wear a mask. It's going to become a rule. So just keep that in mind if you're not currently wearing one, that in the future we will be requiring it. And quite honestly, we're all going to have to get used to it and make the best of it because it is the way we're going to live for a while, unfortunately. Last thing I would say is we appreciate how tired of this you all are. Many of you have sent us notes and calls and all the rest that you're ready for this to end. Everyone has a different story behind that. We are eager for it to end too, but we want to do this in a safe, cautious, wise way. And that means we got to be cautious, we got to take it slow. And Richmond is not yet open, and it's too early to call whether how this is going to go in Henrico and the other surrounding counties. So we're going to take it slow. And we also hear that other communities are managing this differently. I would say there's a lot of misinformation out there, but I'm not interested in how other facilities do this. We are responsible for this campus and this campus alone, and we're doing it in a way that makes sense to us and to our operations. And so I appreciate everybody's patience. I appreciate how frustrated everybody is. We are eager for this to end as well, but we got to do it smart. So I'll stop there, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to invite Taryn up to share our Monday motivation. Taryn?
Thank you. Good afternoon, y'all. I'm Taryn with the Wellness Department. Today I want to begin with your Monday motivation. Ida Keeling is a 104-year-old sprinter from Harlem. She was 67 when she took up running. It started with a mini run led by her daughter. That run helped to lift her out of depression, so she kept running and got better and got stronger each time. She chose sprinting because it was faster and shorter than those long distances she had been trying to get through. Ida is still running and riding her bike, lifting weights, doing push-ups, and stretching. She says, "When I don't get out, I exercise in my room. I get on the floor and turn my feet over my head. Age has nothing to do with it. When you really want to do something for yourself, go and do it. And if you fail, try again." We have a new workout video that's now available. It's called Stretch and Strengthen. It is being aired, I believe, in the 10 a.m. slot, while Core and More has been moved to the 4 p.m. slot. All of our video workouts are available on the Touchtown app under the Videos section. We hope you are enjoying this month's I Spy Challenge and invite you to share with us some of the things you may have found while participating in it. Speaking of which, I want to give a shout out to Tommy and Nita Bryant. These residents recently shared their experience of becoming much more consciously aware of the beauty of this campus. We all know it's beautiful, but when we take the time to quietly sit, stand, or lay down somewhere in nature, it can change our perspective and deepen our appreciation for what is right here surrounding us. And that is when the healing begins. That is mindfulness. Finally, I have another breath and movement practice for you to try. I call this the triple circle of joy. I'm going to step right over here, and I ask you to join me with it. You can do this seated or standing. If you're seated, just get comfortable. If you're standing, open the legs to a comfortable distance. I want you to extend through your fingers. Think about being able to reach the floor with your fingertips and the wall and the ceiling. Let's inhale, one arm up. As we begin to exhale, we're going to bend into it, rotate and look in the direction of our hand. And give me that big exhale. Let's do it on the other side. That's circle one. Here's circle two. And then the last circle. We're going to bring it into this position and lift your chin and reach the arms out, whatever's comfortable for you. In this position, only love can come into your heart. Let's try it all together one more time. Big inhale. Big exhale. Other side. Big inhale. And you're open and ready to receive love. Go with love. Lynn McClintock is next.
It's a rainy day in May, and I'm glad to be with you. I'm Lynn McClintock, Director of Pastoral Care. Many of our departments here at Westminster Canterbury are here to help you get through this rainy week. Pastoral Care offers an evening prayer Monday through Saturday on TV 970 at 6:15 p.m., just for about 15 minutes. We hope you will pause for a little bit before the national news broadcast and join us in prayer. I am looking forward to Thursday's worship service on TV 970, where I'm going to reflect with you about everybody's favorite topic these days, time. Yours, mine, and God's. So tune in at 10:30 on Thursday morning. We'll spend a little time worshiping together. One thing that has gotten me through these difficult days is to read up on various periods of history where people have undergone adversity, just to see how they got through their challenges and what we might learn from them. Looking to history and anthropology and science and religion holds rich and pertinent lessons for us. Some lessons more hopeful than others, but all nonetheless instructive. I came across a reflection by Ira Brock, who is an author and a hospice and palliative care physician. He said, years ago, anthropologist Margaret Mead was asked by a student what she considered to be the first sign of civilization in a culture. The student expected Meade to talk about fish hooks or clay pots or grinding stones. But no. Meade said that the first sign of civilization in an ancient culture was a femur, a thigh bone, that had been broken and then healed. Meade explained that in the animal kingdom, if you break your leg, you die. You cannot run from danger. You cannot get to the river for a drink or hunt for food. You are meat for prowling beasts. No animal in the wild survives a broken leg long enough for the bone to heal. A broken femur that has healed is evidence that someone has taken the time to stay with the one who fell, has bound up the wound, has carried the person to safety, and has tended the person through recovery. Helping someone else through difficulty is where civilization starts. Helping someone else through difficulty is where civilization starts. And Ira Brock adds, we are at our best when we serve others. Be civilized. We are at our best when we serve others. In fact, keeping other people in mind and not just ourselves may be important for our very survival through this crisis. Sometimes caring reaches involving and doing and reaching out, but in our time it means reaching within and doing what may be even harder. One day after we have a vaccine, we'll look back and we'll see the wisdom in the simple act of minimizing contact with one another, and how that was the one way within our power to sustain life. Caring for the other, picking up the burden of self-sacrifice so others might live, will hopefully be what future generations will read about our civilization during the time of the coronavirus pandemic. Albert Einstein said, "Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile." Indeed, it may be the very thing that keeps us alive. Here now, Matthew, the 22nd chapter, verses 36 through 40. Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest? Jesus said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. In reading from the Talmud, the highest form of wisdom is kindness. Let us pray. Merciful God, on this rainy day, we ask that your light and love warm us, lift us up, and reassure us. When we get caught up in self-pity, or when we find ourselves looking around for everything wrong, make us mindful of the long view. Remind us that this moment in time is not forever, and that our lives are in your hands. Help us to be kind to ourselves, knowing that we are not alone in struggling to keep strong and to get through this. May we, in this time of personal and community challenge, draw upon our best selves so that we will emerge not having left anyone behind, and indeed perhaps finding out who we really are, maybe for the first time. Amen. We're so glad you joined us today, and we invite you to join us again tomorrow at 3 p.m. for our next video update.